Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen, where we discuss business, culture, leadership, and the mindset it takes to build a business and life you're proud of. My name is Josh. Let's get into it and let's get shit done. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. One of the things that we touch on, kind of beat around the bush on a lot, is what it really takes to build, develop, grow, and have a successful company, and what that really means. And the reality is that most companies, most blue collar companies, fail within the first 10 years. And a lot of companies think that if they make it to year 1, they have made it. If they make it to year 5, they've made it. And if they make it past year 10, they've made it. The reality is this is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you don't know where you are in that rat race, you don't know where you need to be, you don't know how far you have to go, you don't know what success is, you don't know how to define it. And let's face it, all of us, me included, we learned a skill, we became good at the skill, we got frustrated with our circumstances, our boss, the opportunity, we decided to take our skill to the market. The problem is the market doesn't care about your skill as much as it does your ability to monetize that skill. So what do? We buy a logo, we buy a bunch of tools, we buy a truck, and we go out into the world and we do work for money. And typically we do too much work for not enough money. And we can't figure out why we're always broke, always stressed, and never get ahead. The other thing that we do is the moment we take on the responsibility of a business, we take on the risk that goes with it, which means we drag our family along. We drag our finances along, we borrow money, we max out credit cards, we remortgage our homes, we pull money out of our 401k or IRA, we beg, borrow, and steal to try to reinvest into this crazy thing that we call a dream because we have an idea that we want to bring to the world. Well, the fucking truth is that all we have is an idea. If you don't understand business, and if you don't understand people, you don't understand business. And if you don't understand finances, you don't understand how to grow a business. So today's conversation, I'm super excited about because we have on the show today the founders and creators of TruPros. We'll get to what TruPros is in a minute. We'll get through the introductions. A familiar face and voice that you know, of course, Greg Giroux. Greg, what's up, brother?
Same old Josh, living the dream.
Living the dream. The famous blue collar remark, right? It's like,
yeah, I had to throw it out there.
Yeah, it's what everybody does. So 19? When did you guys start TruPros?
Concept, yeah, 2019.
All right, so TruPros came to life. And so as you and I became closer and working together and then officially became partners, you were kind enough to crack the door open to TruPros for me, and I got to meet this mystery man, this other gentleman. You're the other founder and creator of TruPros, and your business partner. And I just want to say before I formally introduce Steve onto the show, he's quickly became one of my favorite people. And I mean that. I love working with you, Steve. I really do. I always appreciate our conversations, our banter back and forth, and sometimes our battle back and forth. And the reality is I know and trust you to have my best interest at heart. And I think that understanding now and me believing that the heart of TruPros really is that you have the success of the client in mind in all the conversations. So Mr. Cristello, welcome to the Tradesman Experience.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been following you guys. You guys are great, and I feel honored to be here.
Well, trust me, the honor is mine, because again, now we just get to have 3 guys having a conversation about what most people think is the unsexy side of business. And I think the reality is that it's not unsexy, it's just unlearned. And most of us would prefer to have our hands wrapped around tools instead of our head wrapped around numbers. And they both go hand in hand. And it doesn't matter how much work you do. If you're not profitable and you're not job costing and you're not forecasting and you don't know your overhead and you're not reviewing these gauges, you make the mistake that I made years ago you look at your checking account, you think that's the fuel gauge for your business, and you make really immature, emotional, spontaneous decisions about what that fuel gauge says in the moment. And you look at it and you go,
Uneducated.
we have $1 million in the bank. I want to go buy something. And you don't know that you've got $1.1 million in accounts payable coming up next month. And people end up in this constant rat race of struggling to get ahead. So my first question for you guys as TruePros is, why did you start the business?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Josh. Look, most guys who are in the trades and start a business know their trade. They're great. And they go out there and they think, okay, I'm going to go start a business. They leave their employer, who, by the way, may bill at $120 an hour. They think they can go out there and run a business at $45, $50 an hour, and they can crush it. And they work 70, 80 hours a week, and they can't figure out why there's no money in the bank at the end of the month. And it becomes harder and harder, and they don't understand finances. They don't understand business. Now, there may be some that really are, booking $120, $130, $140 an hour, but still they don't understand the cost, the true cost of their sales. So you've got all these unbillable hours, all the time that it takes for them to try to do accounting, to call back customers, to go to the shop, right? They're hiring people are coming, people are going, payroll taxes, all the intricacies of running a business. And at the end of the day, they're exhausted and they have no money in their checkbook, and they can't figure out why, because we're crushing it. We're busy, we're working, right? I've worked with one guy who I asked him what his business plan was, and he said, business plan? He said, well, my plan is to go to work. Well, that's great, right? That's it. He's going to go to work.
It's a start.
It's a start. It's a start. And,
And an end.
we audit, when we bring on new clients, we audit their businesses, and they're great at what they do, and they've got great reputations. But it's interesting to talk to a guy who, Greg, how many times have you heard it? Oh, I did 2.5 million last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, how much do you have left?
Yeah, and you're still driving that old beat up old truck and sleeping in your shop.
Yeah, or Greg's favorite
or
question.
they're driving a brand new truck and they have no money.
And they have no money.
There you
or
go.
Greg's favorite question, like, how much did it cost you to make that 2.5 million?
Exactly.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's obviously all of the what's that everybody involves, but why? Whose idea was it to start TruePros, and again, why try to help people be successful?
Look, Greg and I started working together. I really went in looking at it as sort of as a consultative work. Basically come in and help. And I have to say honestly, Greg, you'll remember this. I came into his office thinking I was going to be. I'm a little older, right? I thought I was going to be an apprentice, get in a truck and go drive around with one of his guys and go have fun, right? Because I love electrical work. And instead, he's like, no, you need to be in the office next door to me. And, we had a ball, but there was a lot, even with Greg's business, there was a lot of cleanup that needed to be done because he was using
You came in when we were doing paper. I was using PDFs and paper and scanning back then. There was no CRM and QuickBooks. That was like a flaming disaster.
And a fax machine. I don't think your audience knows what a fax machine is.
Fax machine.
And so we went through that whole process, and we realized in talking to other folks in the trade that everybody's in the same boat. Like it's everybody thinks, so this is the way it is, right? And I can't tell you how many fax machines are still out there in the field, but we automated everything. And when one of the keys when we're dealing with customers is to better understand their processes and procedures and give them basically enough automation so that they've got a dashboard. They can look at that dashboard, and it's like anything else. The difference between us, most guys have bookkeepers. So,
I'd say most is pushing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you always hear, oh no, my wife is doing that, don't worry about it. Or you hear, well, we have a bookkeeper. The difference between a bookkeeper or a spouse who does bookkeeping, which is fine. I've seen more marriages fail because of that. But we'll leave that for another
I think we talked about that in the last podcast.
Yeah, okay. At the end of the day, bookkeepers are good for doing debits and credits. It's like looking in the rearview mirror, right? You get a report months later after the fact, and oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea of having TruePros or a fractional CFO, if you like, is you have somebody who's helping you look forward, helping you look in front of the business so that you can plan and understand where you want to go and are you getting there, and make decisions along the way proactively so that you can actually get there and not after the fact, oh shit, I have no money. What do I do now? And I'll give you a great example if you guys got time. But there's a story I like to tell about a plumber that we've worked with. We'll call him Chris. Greg knows him. But this plumber, that's all I'll say about the plumber, but this plumber was doing about $2.5 million in annual sales. And on the surface, he looked really successful. You looked at his books and you thought everything was good. He had 6 trucks on the road, working about 70 hours a week, right? This is the typical story. And at the end of the year, he had no money. He couldn't figure out why his checkbook was flat. So we do our typical 30-day audit, and we go in, and we found that he was basically living in the same 5% margin trap, right? It's this trap that we all get into. There's no margin at the end of the year, right? 5%. You can't grow a business at 5% margin. He was generating plenty of cash. He was collecting, although he didn't quite understand what accounts receivables were, but he was collecting most of his money. But he had no job costing. Josh, he had absolutely no job costing. And he was drowning in what I would call unapplied labor. Like, he had all this drive time, going to the shops. He had unbilled hours, all kinds of stuff, all the time that he was taking after hours, collecting from customers, dealing with customers. 12% of his gross margin was being eaten by non-billable time. But he wasn't tracking it. He had absolutely no idea about that. So we came in and we put in some measurements. We said, well, look, there were 3 things that were really important. First thing we needed to do was link. He had a CRM that he was using, not linked to his accounting system. So we linked it to the accounting system, and we were able to track his actual costs real time, which was really important because he was waiting to the end of a job to decide whether he crushed it or not, whether he made money or not. It's too late when you've already lost money on the job. You need to know well in advance how you're doing on that job. His customer acquisition cost was about $450 to $500. Average is about $250 to $300. He was wasting a bunch of money on marketing. He had no idea, but he never calculated his customer acquisition cost. And then we put him to a 4-day work week, which allowed him to save money on gasoline, downtime between jobs, wear and tear on the vehicles. And on the 5th day, if he wanted to do emergency calls, he could do emergency calls, but he was charging for it. He went from his 5% profit, like his revenue didn't go up. We didn't say to the guy, just sell more, just sell more, just sell more. No, measure more, right? That's what it was all about. And at the end of the day, he went from 5% profit to an 18% profit margin. The guy took home $100,000 before. Now he's taking home $450,000 and his sales are basically flat. So that's what we're talking about, right? It's not work harder, work harder, work harder, spin your wheels and it'll all happen. Measure, 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 and be more efficient. The guy's doing great. And if he wants to grow his business, he'll grow his business, but at least he'll grow his business with some reasonable margin so he can reinvest in instead of going and taking loans and getting 5% at the end. So anyways.
Statistically, the number one reason that small businesses fail is cash flow mismanagement.
They run out of money.
And when I did that research, I wasn't shocked by the truth of it. I was shocked by the fact that most people don't know that. And understanding what cash flow is and what cash flow does and how the proper management of that statistically dictates the success or failure rate of your business. Again, back to someone that grew up in a tool bag, that's not, those are not the types of things that we know. And then when we know it, we look at those types of things and immediately go, the bookkeeper will take care of it. The spouse will take care of it. My mother will take care of it. Or worst case scenario, it all gets handled at the end of the year by the CPA, the shoebox receipts, as you like to call them. And they wait to the end of the year to find out if they made any money as a company, never measuring the fact if they made any money as a per job, per customer, client acquisition, all the things that you discussed. And I think the part that for me is like, again, you don't know what you don't know, but if you understand that there are systems, tools, people, and companies that can do that for you, because the blue collar industries are very prideful people. And for the life of me, I don't know why we take on a business and then we decide that we're not going to be open-minded for the next 30 years to learn anything or delegate anything or implement anything. Instead, we would rather break our bodies, sacrifice our families, and invest ourselves into this slow growth path of learning. We would rather take 30 years as opposed to 3 months and just do it because this is the way that we've always done it. So to circle back around is understanding, like, if it's not being measured, it can't be managed. And understanding the importance that cash flow has on the success and failure of your business is probably the most important thing from a financial standpoint, given profit and job costing, right? But being able to manage that in general
is king. You know, how many guys, I go back to what I said before, and I actually learned this from Greg. How many guys will tell you they did $2.5 million last year? And yeah, Greg's first response is, no. How much did you make last year? Not that number, because they don't know. All they know is their frustration is, why is my bank not growing?
Mm-hmm. Revenue is for vanity.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it does, right? It feels good.
Sure.
It's sexy.
Sure.
It feeds the ego.
It does feel good. I did $3 million in business, right. But if you're negative 100,000 at the end of $3 million, like, you'd be better off not making any money and you'd end up with more money.
I'd rather be Chris and make $2.5 million and have 450,000 in profit than be somebody else with the same 2.5 million and make 100,000 or less.
Right. That's a lot of risk and a lot of money for nothing.
And a lot of effort. Right? The effort that it takes to generate $2.5 million and then to get to the end and you made 5%, like, that's your reward. A CD pays 6.25. You know, it's like the return on investment for that $2.5 million is terrible.
Yeah, we had another guy where we ran all his numbers, and at the end of the day, we showed him how he personally was making less than $20 an hour when you factored in all the hidden costs that he was completely unaware of.
I tell this story. I've told this story 100 times. I did this. I figured that math out very early in the first year when I sat down, and I thought just this, like, what happened? I busted my ass this year. I was busy every day, all week long, working 60, 70 hours a week. I'm like, where is the money? Did out the math, and I was like, oh my God, I left a job. I was making $5 more an hour where I left after taxes. Why did I leave the company I left to start a business to work 80 hours when I was working 40 and I had my life?
And you took on all this risk.
And I took on all this risk. And it's stressful. But again, this is why we came up with this concept and this idea, is because it's just, I got so frustrated with the industry watching people just bang off the walls. Like, it's a rinse and repeat. I think I can do this. My buddy did this. My father did this. My old boss did this. I'm going to do it this way. This must be the way. It's not. Most of the trades do it wrong. Like, a majority do it wrong. And there's a better way. There is absolutely a better way. And I used to get so mad at my competition. I used to get so pissed when somebody undercut me. I'm like, these rats, they don't understand. They're screwing us. And then I started to figure out that they're not jerks. Nobody wakes up in the morning and is like, I can't wake up and I can't wait to make no money today. This is going to be a great day. Let's lose some money today. They have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't know their numbers. They were uneducated and too proud to ask questions. Ask questions, understand, seek to learn. So that's when I was like, well, instead of bashing my competition, why don't I try to educate them? Because I put in all this time and effort, and the faster I can get everybody else educated, the better off we all are.
Yeah. One of my favorite phrases, I don't know if I can say quote officially, but one of my favorite phrases about understanding business and money comes from Tommy Mello. And he said, if you can't afford benefits and you can't afford pay raises and you can't afford nice trucks and nice tools and you can't afford marketing, you are stealing from your team to take care of your customer. And the reality is, if you don't understand what you should be charging, what profits look like, how to do margins, how to do markup, then you can charge the proper amount, which should be, if you're a high quality service, should be equivalent to the value of the service that you provide. And in return, you get to pay your team more. You offer benefits. You have paid time off. You have newer trucks. You have billboards, and you look like the professional company that you're pretending to be. Because what you said earlier, I love that you said surface level success. I wrote it down when you said it. Most companies have surface level success because they've got a new truck, new tools, and a whole lot of debt. And they don't know if they can afford to pay it, other than the fact that their CPA was like, oh, it shows that you did 20% profit. Okay, so you've got $200,000 in profit. The reality is the profit was gobbled up throughout the year in unbilled time, inefficiencies, broken systems. And instead, the paperwork shows that they made $200,000, but their bank account says something different. So I say that because if you don't understand this, you will end up stealing from your team to try to take care of your customer.
That's the hamster wheel. That's what Steve said when he first jumped on, is the guys leave their employer and they're like, well, the way I do the math, I can do this for $60 an hour and still make more than I was making from my last boss. But that doesn't factor in what a real business is and what it takes. You're missing all the things that make a business successful, like growth. And in order to grow a company, the company itself needs to profit, on top of the fact that you need to get paid as an employee of that company at a fair wage. Just as if you were working for somebody else. You need to make that money. You need to pay all the bills as if you were a real company, not the company you are today. So you have profits so you can grow. But that takes some forecasting and some understanding and some job costing and some overhead, just understanding your overhead in general. And Josh, we teach this. When you start a company and your overhead is low, put in all the factors as if you were a real company, because that's where you want to be. And that's what it's going to cost you. So if you're not charging the money that you need to charge now to where you want to be, you're never going to get there, because you're going to get caught in that hamster wheel of $60 an hour and barely paying the bills and wondering why you're not growing.
Well, I think one of the barriers to this is also understanding your own personal relationship with money.
Definitely starts there.
It really does, right? Because I went round and round. So I was, everybody knows, like, the early Battleborn welding days, like I was heavily involved, Matt and Nate and the whole thing. And I remember being in their shop, standing in front of them, and they were pushing back on me about what they should charge. And because they thought that their rates were too high. Now we had done, we had got to the point where we did the overhead. We knew what their hourly rate needed to be. And they started pushing back. And finally I got frustrated. I said, I'll make you guys a deal. It sounds to me like you want to do more work and make less money. So sell me the business. I'll work you 80 hours a week and I'll pay you less money to do it. How does that sound? And they both started laughing, and I'm like, okay, you understand my point. And so one of the things of challenging people is because they look at the big company across town and they go, they're too expensive. So if they're charging $200 an hour, I think I can do it for 100. All right. Well, my first question is, does the quality of work that you provide meet or exceed what they do? And you should say, yes, we do much better work than they do. Okay, great. Do you take care of your customers better than they do? Yeah, we take care of it. Like, yes, we're there. We do what we say we're going to do. We clean up the whole 9 yards. I'm like, okay, so you should at least make what they make because you're already doing better work. So why can't you charge the same thing they're charging and provide a higher value service and experience and higher quality work? Why would you do better work for less money? And at the end of the day, why are you comparing yourself to them anyway? It costs what it costs to run your business, as Greg always says.
Yeah, if you can be more efficient, great, you're more efficient. But you're absolutely right. Customers want to do business with real companies, right? Long gone are the days where you've got, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are some customers that would prefer to have the old-time plumbers come to their house, right? With that beat-up old van, and I won't go down that path.
Ross Bucket and a butt crack. Let's go.
There you go.
Let's go.
But truck in a truck.
But, look, there are consolidators now that are buying trades businesses all over the country. And you have to decide, do you want to be swallowed up by one of them, or do you want to be a leader in the industry? And if you want to be a leader in the industry, you have to act like a leader in the industry. You have to look like a leader in the industry. Customer has to see you as a leader in the industry, and they will pay for that service. They would much more appreciate a smaller leader in the industry than some of those larger companies, and you can provide better and more personalized service and still make a lot of money. And then there are some customers, doesn't matter if they don't want your business, there are some customers you can afford to have.
Let me ask you a question, Steve. Why should a company want to make a lot of money?
Why should a company want to make a lot of money?
Yeah, or the business owner, whatever. Like, why? You said that they would rather have that smaller company with that hometown feel that's a leader in the industry and pay them a lot of money. Why should a company want to make a lot of money?
There's a whole bunch of reasons why a company would want to make a lot of money. Look, one of the things I talk about a lot is, what are your goals, right? The owner of that company could go work for somebody else. The company has to make money, as you said before, number one, to support its people, right? To support the families that are involved in that company, to support the community. But also, it's a business. It's an investment. It's your future. Why are you building the company? Sometimes it's to leave something to my children, or it's to, I want to be, a multi-state organization where I'm growing this company. Maybe it's so that I could be in Hawaii and have somebody running my company. I'm going to take that tool belt off and I'm going to go to Hawaii and I'm going to watch the money go into the bank. But whatever it is, it's really a transition from going from my plan is to put on my pants in the morning and go to work versus my plan is to whatever, right? And provide for my family, to provide for my community, to provide jobs for the people that I have. It's for pride. And quite frankly, today, why have a lot of money? Because you need a lot of money.
And ultimately, that's you do. And, I think one of the most important points to understand about money is money doesn't make your problems go away, but it makes them easier to solve because it costs money to solve problems. And when you grow a business and you grow a business successfully and profitably, you can now afford to elevate other people and their families and help them solve problems. And you can grow and you can impact your community and you can be philanthropic if you want. Like, it affords you so much opportunity to do great things. But if you're a broke company and you can't pay people, you can't offer them benefits,
you can't keep people.
You can't keep people. And the ones that you keep, you guys are just dragging the bottom the whole time. And one of the things that I had a conversation here recently with a friend of mine, I told him, this, something that really frustrates me is when I hear small business owners close up shop and go work for someone else because of benefits. I'm like, how can you not afford to have insurance and benefits for you and your family? You own the business. Oh, I know how. You don't have a fucking clue what it costs to run your business. You don't know how to price. You don't know how to job cost. You don't know how to sell. You can't set financial targets. You don't know shit about business. So what happens is you're like, I just want to give up all of this headache and responsibility and go work a job, and so my family can have benefits. Like, that's a bullshit excuse to close your business. What you should really say is, I'm fucking stupid and I don't want to learn how to run my company, so I'm going to take an easy job so my family doesn't have to put up with my ass anymore being mad all the time. Like, I get frustrated because people hide behind their families. They hide behind these excuses, and they blame the market. They blame the people. They blame the competition. They blame the vendor. They do everything else. And at the end of the day, it's because they haven't taken the time to learn. And more importantly, and my favorite thing to do is put people on your team that are better at the thing that you are than you are, that's going to help you navigate this monster machine to become successful.
Measure.
Where's that applause button? I feel like I need an applause button, Greg. Where's that clapping thing here?
We don't have one.
But it's true, right? Like, we get so wrapped up in our ability to do the craft, we neglect the necessity to learn the business.
Understand the business.
And understand it.
I tell you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'll tell you this. How many times we talk to our customers and we're literally putting up a mirror in front of them and saying, this is your business.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in shock. They should be in shock.
Well, it's because the first time they've ever seen it.
Yeah.
They're in shock. And good, bad, or indifferent, you go back a month later, you go back a month after that, and they see the difference. But before, they weren't even measuring.
Mm-hmm.
Or what they saw, oh yeah, I get reports from QuickBooks, but do you understand them? Do you know what a gross margin is even? Some of them do, some of them don't. And what do you do with it? How do you plan for it? So you're right, Josh. It's all of that. Because if they don't understand their business, if they don't understand the dashboard, if they don't understand what to look for, they don't understand how to change
Mm-hmm.
because they want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, they will close. They will fail.
One of the biggest lessons I got to learn in this journey is busy doesn't mean productive, and productive doesn't mean profitable.
No.
And it's really counterintuitive to think that the busier you get, the less money you can make. That so much so that you can have so much busy work, you go under. And people, again, that's counterintuitive to the way that most people think. They're like, I have all.
That's how a lot of companies die.
It is how a lot of companies die, right? Because it goes back to the cash flow mismanagement and understanding the job costing. But they're like, I have all of this work.
More work, more guys, more money.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. More guys, more work, more money. Doesn't mean more profit.
That's right. It means more busy, more productive.
Yeah. And a lot of guys think that what we do will give them more work, will make them, they don't have the time for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the time for this.
But they have the time to suffer.
Well, they have to do it. And frankly, our job is to take away that time that they're already spending on this and go do what they do best, which is making money, right? Yeah. They should be increasing their billable hours and let us do what we do. And they will make 15, 20, 30% more than they're making now just by virtue of the fact that they're more efficient. And they will know where they are instead of driving off a cliff because there are no gauges. There are no guardrails. There's nothing. It's really blind.
Yeah. I had a friend tell me one time. They said, you know what's better than owning a boat? Having a friend that owns a boat.
Somebody else's, but same thing with a pool. That's kind of pool. Somebody else's
pool.
I agree completely.
Yeah. So the reason I say that is because as we go through this, and obviously we're talking about a lot of the financial operations and what's necessary to build and grow a successful business. And someone's probably listening to this and going, well, I don't have time to learn how to do all of this stuff. My favorite leadership quality is delegation. That's my favorite leadership quality. So if I don't want to own the boat, I just need to have a friend that owns a boat. So I say that because the people that we're talking to is, especially if you own a blue collar business and you spend nights and evenings covering your dining room table in invoices and bills, and you've got receipts stacked up, and you infect your family time with all of the things that you hate doing, you need to understand that there is a much, much better opportunity for you to do the thing that you love to do in your business and delegate the mess that you continue to keep out. And you can get that off your plate, and then go back to what you just said, Steve. Like, all of that time that you're spending, you can now either generate more revenue or be present with your family. Both are very valuable.
Both. Exactly.
And so I say that because that is what TruePros does. TruePros is that passenger that has the financial navigation that's helping you read the gauges. You ever watch the rally car racers? They run on the cliff. You got one guy driving and the other guy with the map and telling them when to turn. Like, that's what you guys do, right? Like, we're going 100 mile an hour drifting around the cliff, 8,000 feet off the ground, and we're going to tell you when you need to turn. You know, that's kind of what TruePros does, because everything is fast moving. Everything is instantaneous. Things are constantly changing and evolving. And, you know, the climate of a business is forever evolving. So having a partner, having someone in your business, or having that navigator in the passenger seat that's going to give you clear, concise, up-to-date, real-time direction as to what you should do and what you shouldn't do as an advisory, like, makes all the difference in the world. And I mean, TruePros generates cash flow reports for our heating and air company, and we get it every week. And good or bad, I always feel better knowing that information, because it helps keep me grounded as to what the company is doing, the direction of the company is headed, the financial pulse. So to me, that information is always super valuable.
And where you need to put your focus that week.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're all firefighters in small business. We wear multiple hats, you know, which are always trying to keep the house from burning down. But this will sound super salesy, but the value that TruePros brings to me as a client, and allowing me to be a better leader and a better business owner, have better conversations with my business partner, Greg Giroux, as to what we're doing, marketing, planning, all. It's like, I can't list out just off the cuff how many problems it solves. And you know what my favorite one is, Steve? My absolute favorite fucking thing about the whole thing is I've never had a single receipt on my dining room table.
It's great. That's what it should be.
It's
Right.
the best. If you came to our house, you wouldn't even know that I owned a business. Like, that's my favorite part. Katie has never seen a single receipt or invoice from any of the work that we do. I love it.
That's how it should be.
It's the way it should be.
That's my testimonial. That's how much I love this. And that's why I wanted to have you guys on here, right? Is like helping people understand that, okay, they don't have to spend years and hours and time away from their family trying to figure this out. Like, there's someone willing to do this with you and do the things for you so you can just be successful. Like, it's a real thing. It exists.
And it's designed to save you money, in the sense that you have to do one of two things. And this comes back to the delegation. You can do the work and then leave the job site and come into the office and do the work. But I know that the work that you're doing in the field, regardless of what trade you're in, has a higher dollar value hourly than anyone in that seat in the office. Whether you pay them or it's you, the value is still the value. So why wouldn't you spend all your time making as much money as humanly possible, and then giving a quarter of each one of those hours to somebody in the office that you don't even want to do that work anyways? Like, you hate doing it. I know you don't want to do it because you're a tradesperson. You started a business to do a trade. And now you're stuck in the office half the time, half billable, if anything, doing the minutia that you probably don't understand and don't want to understand. So put somebody in place that actually understands it, that can guide you, and you go off and just do what you do best. And that is make money, the maximum amount of money, understanding that you can bill this much because you have the financial understanding and backing of what it costs you. So you know what to bill and you know what to charge, you know how to make money. And then you go out and you do that until you have so much work that you got to hire somebody that replaces you to do it or adds to you. And now you've got two people actually making money, not one making money while you're in the office pulling your hair out, trying to figure out what they're doing and what you're doing. Hand it off immediately. And again, not a sales pitch. It's fact.
Yeah.
It's delegation.
Yeah. So tell me, how does I've got a small business and I need it, you guys can help me manage the financial operations. And I one of the things I want to preface on is like, this is not just bookkeeping, right? Like that's the minimal. That's the minimal of what happens here, because typical bookkeeping is all reactive. So everything that you get is reactive. It's never real time. But can you guys help me with job costing or financial projections, helping me understand what I need to sell, helping me with accounts payable? Like, what is that? If you guys were to sit next to me in this business and help me do that, like, what are some of the things that you can help me do?
It's an evil and all of that. So you're absolutely right. Bookkeeping is an aspect of it. We do, our team does the bookkeeping side of your business because it's essential that we understand the numbers. But more importantly, what you don't get from a bookkeeping service and you don't get from your tax accountant, which both are, you need bookkeeping and you need a tax accountant, is you need a, I'm going to use the term CFO, right? A chief financial officer. You need somebody who is looking and analyzing those numbers real time, all the time. Somebody who is providing automation, for example, to your system. So some of you might have a CRM, some of you don't. But to the extent that you have a CRM, is it integrated? Is it talking to your accounting system? And is somebody looking at those numbers and sanity checking those numbers and making sure the numbers are correct? Because oftentimes they are not correct, or we don't understand where those numbers came from. Garbage in, garbage out, like you like to say. And then at the end of the day, advising on how to improve your productivity and profitability. We keep your books tax ready. When I say tax ready, here's an example of what I mean by tax ready. You need to go to the bank and you want to take a loan. And the bank says, get me a copy of your P&L and balance sheet. Guys are sitting there trying to figure out, I'm going to get a freaking balance sheet. And then you look at the balance sheet and it's a mess, right? Because the bookkeeper is doing debits and credits on the financial side. But from a tax perspective, there are certain things that need to be on your balance sheet and not on your P&L and vice versa. When you have assets, are you itemizing those assets? Will the bank see that your business has assets? Or did you just spend a bunch of money and you have no profit to show because assets belong on the balance sheet, right? So with TruPros, you need to go to the bank. You push a button or you make the request and you have a balance sheet and you have a professional P&L that goes to the bank that is bank worthy.
Real time,
because it's
actual, real.
Yep. And it's really key. You talk about expenses. We've had guys with 30 trucks in the field still collecting receipts. Everything automated now. And so when you get a balance sheet or a P&L, it's ready because it's real time. You want work in process reports, it's real time. And it's key because things can, as you said before, change daily. So that is the difference. And we get to the point sometimes with some of our customers where they actually call us to ask us, can we buy this, please? Right? Is it okay? Do we have enough money? And that's okay. right? Because you want to know that you're not going to run out of money in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
How many times have we seen somebody who calls their accountant and the accountant says, "Oh yeah, you got to spend money. It shows you have a profit." And then we look into the books and they have nothing. They're going to run aground in 2 months. But currently in that snapshot, according to the accountant, you're making money. You're making too much money. You got to get rid of it. And they're like, "Oh my God," the accountant said, "I got to get rid of it." Perfect. I wanted a new truck anyways. So they buy the truck and then 2 months later, like, what happened? I have no money. The accountant said, "Spend it." Well, the accountant had no idea because he's looking at data from behind. He has no idea what's happening in the future. He just sees, well, currently this is what it says. It's your business. You should know this. And then you look at him and say, well, what am I hiring you for? You hired him for exactly what you hired him for. You gave him data and he did his numbers and said, well, this is what it looks like according to your numbers.
Yeah, but in your scenario, I'm gonna say, and you know this, you're dealing with a tax accountant. You're not dealing necessarily with somebody in your operations who knows your business. You're dealing with a guy you deal with once or twice a year. You send him your books and he does your taxes. So when
But
you
he doesn't know
ask
your
him,
business.
and he wants to lower your taxes. So go ahead and spend the money, right? Because it's going to lower your taxes. He's not thinking that your burn rate is whatever your burn rate is, and that in 2 months from now, because you've got no new business coming in, you're going to run out of money. He doesn't see that. He doesn't ask those questions. He just sees that, boy, oh boy, in November, you did real well. You better spend some money. And then come February, oh shit, happens too often.
It does. Yeah,
it does.
And it, most people don't think of it because the natural trust factor of hiring a CPA is that they're going to help you make a successful decision for your business. And the influence that they have is based on such limited data because they're
That's the
not
problem.
involved, right, with projections. They're not involved with job costing. They're not involved with AR, with AP.
They don't know your business.
They're not even involved in bookkeeping. Like none of
They
that.
don't
Like
know
you're
your
not
business.
saying. They don't know the transactional side of the business. They just see gross numbers.
Yeah, they don't know that you want to hire 4 people in the next 6 months. They don't know.
Right. They see what you made and they see what you spent.
Right.
And they say, this is what's left and this is taxable. So let's minimize that number. That is what they do.
And if you've got
they
a
have
growing
no idea
business,
your business.
And if you've got a growing business, they couldn't possibly know because they don't get involved at that level. That's
unless you have a CPA on staff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're your fractional CPA on staff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. CFO. All right, so let's pull back the curtain a little bit more here. We've obviously talked a lot about the financial operations and services that TruePros offers in its financial performance programs. It's multi-tiered. We're just cracking jokes about the fractional CFO. What else do you guys offer? What other services or solutions do you guys provide to companies?
Payroll services, all integrated in the system. And especially if you've got a CRM, your guys are clocking in and out of your CRM. So all the payroll comes over. We have clients who are union shops, some not union. We deal with union pay as well as non-union pay and all the deductions associated therein. Believe it or not, HR, where, a lot of the guys, it crosses over, right? Once you're getting into payroll, now you're starting to get into human resources related issues. We help firms with HR related stuff. We have a tier for that. And IT management is very important, especially when you're dealing with, again, the integration of systems, the integrity of the data, the security of the data, and it could be also the capital equipment, right? Your laptops, your computers, your tablets that are in the field, all those things. We've had to over the years become very aware of how all that integration takes place and lock the systems down so that we have protection for data. Too many guys buy equipment, give it out to their guys in the field, and they have access to everything. And then when the guy leaves and takes your client base, you're like wondering what the hell happened. That's because there was no protection out there for that.
Yeah. Or they get a
Um,
virus from an OnlyFans site
That's
because
right. That's exactly.
you know,
All that is locked down. So it's really a full service back end for your business, but it's whatever the customer wants at whatever level.
I was reading through some of the stuff here a minute ago, and I have a question. What does IT stand for?
Is that a joke?
Internet and technologies.
No, it's not a joke. It was
No. Is that was really the question?
yeah. I thought it
Information.
said
It's in information tech. Information
Oh, it's
technology.
information
information tech.
technology. Yeah. So I was today years old when I learned that IT
Today
stands
years
for information technology. No idea. I was
No, that's
never asked the question behind the question as to what IT stands for.
I thought that was like a leading question with a
No,
joke.
I wish it was. I'm just an idiot. So
Yeah.
I just never knew what it stood for. And I was reading that. I was like, information technology. It doesn't make sense to me.
information
Yeah. So you get IT, HR, payroll, and then all of the book. So what do you guys what does TruePros not do? Taxes?
Well, yeah, that's right. We're not your tax accountant. We work very closely with your tax accountant to make sure your books are tax ready at the end of the year. We do, of course, the postings in the system to keep your books and your depreciation for your assets up. But yeah, other than that, I mean, you should have a lot of companies are paying way too much to their tax accountants because their tax accountants are doing cleanup at the end of the year. And we eliminate that cleanup because we keep everything up to date. So when it comes time to file your taxes, it's, a week into January and you're done.
So no filing extensions.
No, well, theoretically, no filing.
That's right. It's because so the company is not waiting on the bookkeeper or the CPA to put everything together. TruePros will have everything ready where at least that end doesn't require an extension to be filed. Maybe the CPA does because they don't have time, but everything on the company end is ready to go.
Yeah, theoretically, that's right. Some companies have some complexity that makes them file an extension, like they've got some subsidiaries that may require that. But no, on the most part, the idea is after the first or second week of January, payroll has been run for the end of December. The books are closed the end of December after the bank reconciliations are done, and you're ready to file.
Since you guys are managing financial operations and the financial state of the business in real time, is there advisement as to spending money at the end of the year? You talked about earlier, it's like, no new business in February. Should we hang on to money? Should we spend money? I know it's not tax advice, but is there any type of advisory role with the finances of the business?
Yes. It really depends on the financial health of the organization, right? And so one of the differences between what we would do and what your tax accountant would do, as Greg talked about earlier, is we know your business. We certainly know your business better than your tax accountant. So we may have a discussion towards the end of the year that says, look, your backlog is X, your burn rate is Y, and here's your forecast for new business. You're really healthy. You guys may want to take a draw at the end of the year to draw down and take that, because you're going to pay tax anyways. Mm-hmm. You might as well take it personally. Or that truck you really wanted, we could do that now. Or that building that you were eyeing, mm-hmm. Maybe it's time that we look at real estate and buy rather than rent, because we're spending a lot of money on rent when you guys could own. So these are the discussions we might be having. Or it may be we better tighten our belt because.
Yeah. So what I like about this, and again, this goes back to the significant difference, is that these decisions are now made not only with real-time financial stats, but with projections in mind. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like knowing this now, like this is one of the things I'll never be able to unlearn. Knowing now that most businesses spend money for tomorrow based on what happened 6 months ago is crazy to me.
It's insane.
It's because there's all of this time, the true financials have not caught up to real time. So we're making uneducated decisions based on improper information.
Those are called bets.
Yeah, I was going to say, and we wonder why we lose. So
You're gambling.
That's
Every day
crazy
you're
to me.
gambling.
that is
Again,
You're
crazy.
hoping that what you put out today will yield you something tomorrow.
Man.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that they're reactive. I think you used the word, Josh, before, reactive. We just wait for the phone to ring and hope. And hope is not a plan. It's not a strategy, right? You know that. You preach that.
Mhm.
This is not about hope. This is about do. Like you've got to be able to have a plan, and you've got to execute against that plan. And you want to grow your business. You want to go to Hawaii and be on the beach while your business is still running and cash is coming into the account. You have to be able to have systems in place to be able to measure the success of your business. Otherwise, you are stuck in that business until you close it.
Here's the other
And
thing.
to properly hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta have accurate numbers.
Yeah, the accountability, that really aligns with what I was going to say. I just think you said it better. There's an accountability factor. And what I was going to call it was there's an ego manager on your team. And the reason I say that is because, man,
It's more like a referee.
it's an ego referee, because you know how easy it is to justify how hard you worked and that you deserve this thing.
That's one of my favorite things in this industry is I worked really hard and I deserve ... No, you don't. Sorry.
But that's
numbers don't lie.
The ego referee comes in. That's where the accountability comes in,
Red
because
flag.
because the data doesn't lie, right? Garbage in, garbage out, facts in, facts out. And when you have that true data, you can make decisions that need to be true with the company. And one of the things that, Steve, you said it to me this morning, in our overhead meeting. You were like, look, at the end of the day, you're the boss. As TruePros, we'll do whatever you want. It's just my job to give you the accurate information so you can make the best decision. And the reason I bring that up is, like, TruePros isn't there to manage your business. It's there to give you the accurate information so you can correctly manage your business.
But again, this is what an owner or a CEO or a president is. That is your job. It's not your piggy bank. It's not your money. It's the company's money, and you are the head. You are the president. You are the one responsible for making decisions with that money in the company's best interest. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's your position as an owner. It's not your money. It's not a piggy bank. It's not for you to go play with. It's for you to decide where we put this money and how we use it, how we spend it, how we make it, so everybody succeeds. So this thing stays alive. You have to make sure you feed. It's an entity. It's a being. And if you don't feed it, it will die. If you steal from it, it will die. If you don't understand how it works, so you don't know how to feed it, it will die.
It will die. Maximize shareholder return. That's it. Now, if you're the sole shareholder, then maximize your return. But it's
that's
all
what
of
the public market does, right?
the public market. Exactly right. And I don't care whether it's a public entity trading on the stock exchange or it's your company. Your job, as you say, Greg, is to maximize shareholder return. And that's how we help.
Well, the partnership or the support, when you have something like this, and I'm going to speak in first person, because Greg and I utilize this, and I take this information often, and I have this information that allows me to make better decisions as a leader, not just a business owner. And yes, at the end of the day, the business owners, despite what employees think, the business owners should make money, right? They should get rewarded for all of the risk that they endure. They should. I believe that. But from a leadership perspective, this constantly gives me data to help better serve the team as a leader, to better structure and outline performance opportunities or promotion opportunities or benefit opportunities, to pay above market standards, to build a better team. Like, it does that just as well as it offers the shareholders money to be made. So for me, again, from a leadership perspective, like, this is all of the information I need to know to help my team become successful. And I say like our team and the companies that we are all cross-pollinated in and work together in. But if just from a frontline tactical battle axe swinging knuckle dragger, like, this shit's cool to know, and it makes me feel like I'm a pretty good business owner.
One of our customers, one of our clients said this, and I think it's pretty wise. AI, artificial intelligence, we hear it all the time in the news. It's like top of everybody's mind, right? Good tools out there. And a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, even on the CRM side, there's AI built in. People are going out and using AI. And the question really is, what professions will survive this whole AI world? The trades are always number one, right? It's a tactile business. You guys are using your hands. This is the future. And this client basically said that his objective is to build a business that will survive him, so his kids have something in the future. Because AI, what else are they going to do? Go to school and become a doctor? Soon you're going to be able to stand in a machine and the machine will scan you. They have this in China, right? They scan you and there you are. This is what's wrong with you. Or, you're going to be an accountant. TruePros will probably be replaced by AI at some point. But the trades, no. And so whatever you build your business for, there's also the future. There's also, these can be legacy companies that really survive the future. Because, Greg, you and I've talked about this, your kids, right? What are they studying? In 10 years, they're going to college. What are they studying? Talk to Elon Musk. It's the trades, or it's the work for him, I guess. But anyways.
True. All right. Well, two questions. One, is there anything that we haven't covered in this conversation that you guys want to share about TruePros?
I will. I've just seen this time and time again. Understanding your margins, understanding your numbers changes everything, right? You think you're doing well, you're running around. I'll use Chris's story, but I've seen it time and time again. When you open your checkbook at the end of the month and you see what's there, it's not the 5% rule anymore. You're making money and you're reinvesting that money and you're growing your wealth. And that really is what it's all about. And being able to, as you say, Josh, being able to go home and not have to worry. Most of these guys, it's enough to worry about their employees, their customers, but to worry about the finances. If you're bidding it right and you're managing it right and you have your eye on the dashboard, on the metrics, right? It's not knowing every penny, but it's having somebody who says to you, like I did this morning, this is what I see over here. You can make corrective action in your next meeting with your staff, and you're not waiting till it's already done. So yeah, I think that's really important for people to understand and take away.
I hope no one misunderstood me earlier. I'm not worry free. I have plenty of other things, right, to worry about as a business owner. But the reality is, again, what you guys provide for us, I don't have to worry about the if. I just have to plan for the how, because the information is real and it's in real time. So it eliminates the if. It's like, this is what it is. Facts. This is what we need to do. Check. So, all right. Secondly, how does someone find out more about TruePros or get in contact with you guys or us to have another conversation or a continuing conversation about how we can help them?
They can certainly go to our website, www.TruePros.com or
TruPros.
Got it.
TruPros.com, or info@TruePros.com. Email us or contact you guys. You guys have been great. Yeah.
Well, TruePros and Blue Collar Insiders are working partners. And anybody that, has followed this podcast or works inside the Blue Collar Insiders community, everybody should know that me personally, I'll take on all of the responsibility here. I never introduce something or someone that I don't believe in, as far as especially services provided. Again, I've had the good fortune of vetting Greg and Steve and TruePros and the TruePros team and the information that it provides and the conversations we have. And I am 100% without question, non-negotiable, better, smarter for it. And it makes me a better leader because of it. So I think it is necessary if you want to level up your business and if you want to be a better leader and a better business owner and be able to pay your team more and have better clients and better work and better profits. Don't spend the next 30 years trying to, pick the fly shit out of the pepper and count your beans. It's like, these guys will do it for you. No problem. So Greg, anything to add before we land this plane?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, go to TruePros, TruPros.com, book a meeting. You'll talk to one of us or all of us. I don't know. Depends on the mood we're in that day, but you can find out more. Let's continue this conversation there. Figure out how TruePros can help you guys be more successful. Greg, Steve, thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks,
Josh.
Greg.
Obviously,
Thanks,
Greg.
Josh.
All right, guys. All right. Thanks for listening. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman.